guys, welcome to 6 Minutes for August 1st. And today's conversation is with Kenny Mason, who recently took the head job at Midway in Kentucky and is leaving Bruton Parker. But before we get to that conversation, I wanted to go ahead and touch on three things very quickly. Number one, if you haven't been watching the U.S. Cadet World Teamers, they wrestled fantastic, both in Greco and in freestyle. From the Southeast, we have a connection to two of the freestylers, Jax Forrest and Joe Seeley, both of which call North Carolina home, at least some of the time. Jax made a run to second in the world. Congratulations, Jax. And Joe Seeley dominated on his way to a world title, which was fantastic. The entire team wrestled fantastic over in Rome. So hats off to them. Number two, coaches, high school coaches. If you're watching this, I set up a spot on the page where I'm going to post some information. It is password protected, so reach out to me through a direct message or through an email so I can get you that. I'm hoping to have links to hammers this year, state of the program, other different things, so that I can communicate with you as directly as possible. Sometimes email doesn't work, sometimes other things don't work. So I'm hoping that this might have be another avenue for you to reach out and provide information about your programs. And number three, I want to just cue you guys to look for Fat and Scrappy's. And yes, that's Lucas De Silva's Georgia top 10 for each of the classifications. We'll drop that next week. He and I had a great conversation talking about all the different new classifications and the different teams. And whether you agree with them or not, it should be a fun thing to watch to kind of see where the different teams kind of fall. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Midway's new head coach, Kenny Mason. All right, here with Kenny Mason, Coach Mason. I think first, congratulations on the new job.
Thank you, man. Super pumped.
So, if anybody doesn't know, you're actually traveling back from the National Wrestling Coaches Association right now. That was in Florida, back up to Georgia, but you have taken the new job at Midway. So,
Correct.
For us in the Southeast and those of us that are in Georgia and right close to you, the question is why? Why are you leaving Bruton Parker and why are you heading to Midway?
So, man, I'll tell you, the huge thing for us was opportunity. My wife, so it really was more so the family is what we kind of had to put when we were looking at it. It's a little bit more money for me, but like my wife just got set up with a job making a lot more money. And then also Coach Brumblow he was my head coach all through college.
Yeah.
So Jake is actually not leaving Midway. He's just moving up into athletic administration. He's going to be the assistant AD there. And so to have it in with admin and athletics, he's also going to still be around with wrestling. He's already told me, Kenny, I'm going to be at practice. I'm going to travel with you guys where I can. So to have him around to help mentor me, Lexington, dude, is a beautiful area. I love South Georgia. You know what I mean? Know it. Like I love living in South Georgia. I love promoting wrestling in a place that, man, like, not many people think about good wrestling in South Georgia, but there's a lot there. And It was not an easy decision, but when we put a lot of factors like that together, we had to make the assistant coach there, Billy. We were teammates at Emmanuel. It was a really sweet opportunity. It felt like, a door open. Sometimes you just got to walk through it. And that's how this felt, man. The stars aligned and headed to Kentucky. I'm going to be are they Kentuckians? Is that what they?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, I've got some learning to do. I do like bluegrass music though, so I got that going for me.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. And they've got a fair amount up there. So
yeah.
So you had a real impact in your first year at Bruton Parker. You recruited a ton of kids. You had Peppers and De Silva and, made the podium and all those sorts of things, a real positive impact. what was the conversation like to tell them?
Hard, like extremely. That was probably one of the up there with telling the guys at Colquitt that I was leaving them to go to Bruton Parker. Um, but everyone understood, like when I explained to them the decision making process. Um, that's the beauty of like when you get to know people and you love on them, they start to love on you too, and so they understand like, hey, this is a good opportunity for me and my wife and the family we want to start. So obviously, selfishly for them, it's the man. Like I hate to lose him, but they're also excited for me. Like that's all anyone told me was, Coach, I'm so happy for you. We wish you the best. So I mean, not an easy conversation, but a heartwarming one to know. Like I was there for a year, and to hear some of the things those guys were telling me, man, it was. I got off the Zoom meeting and I had to cry a little bit. It was happy tears, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was a tough conversation for sure.
Well, I mean, any of us that have coached and, you get to know people and you have a family and sometimes I mean, it's a tough conversation to have, but it is the conversation that has to be had for you to move to the next step of what you want to do. So,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit because we haven't actually had a conversation on 6 minutes here about your first year of coaching at the collegiate level. Like what lessons did you learn? What was so different about there, like coaching in the college level as opposed to what you were coaching in high school level?
The pace. So like the first couple, I'll tell you, pace, right? First couple of tournaments, sitting there trying to, talk your guys through matches, and you're like, you got to keep up. The pace of the matches is a lot different. Um, it's the same thing as an athlete coming from high school to college, right? Like I'll always tell people, like in high school, 1 out of every 10 matches is probably tough. Like, you're going to see someone that's going to push you 1 out of every 10 matches. In college, everyone that you wrestle is going to push you. And it's the same way coaching, like, especially where I was in South Georgia, there was times you're wrestling a team and it's like, great guy. Coach is a great guy, but he's the offensive coordinator for the football team. Like
Right.
Doesn't know that much about wrestling. You're around guys that live and breathe it the same way you do. So the intensity, the pace. I learned that I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. But honestly, man, it's wrestling is wrestling. It's yeah. I'm telling them to shoot high C's and run halves, just like I was telling the high schoolers.
Yeah.
So
I got you. So, I guess one of the things, because we're now on to this, and I'm going to get to Midway. I'm going to talk a little bit about Midway at the end of this. Absolutely. But what would you tell a new coach? Who were you? Like, if you were telling yourself something a year ago today about going into that position, what piece of advice would you give them?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, and I was very stubborn in that at first, because you want to be like, I know all the answers. If I don't, I'm going to figure it out. It's okay to not know. It's okay to have to ask for guidance. And that was, me and Jake, we talked off and on after I graduated from Emmanuel, kept up with each other, right? But like this past year, man, I think I probably called that guy. Once I swallowed my pride a little bit, I was calling him sometimes 2-3 times a week. Dude, hey, let me pick your brain real quick. Omi at a Life, he was another huge resource. Just putting your pride to the side and saying, hey, like, I see what you guys are doing. That's very successful. I want to mimic that. Help me out. And that's the whole reason I came to this coaches convention. I got this. Omi, I did the Leadership Academy first. Omi was my mentor. Like I hung out with Omi for 2 days and just got to sit there and pick his brain and see, what are you doing in your program? And just because they're doing it and it works for them, obviously it's not, every program is different. Right. But, okay, all right. And then you can make tweaks and you make adjustments. But yeah, I would say, don't be afraid to swallow pride. Just be willing to learn the same way, you got to tell your athletes, right? Like, be coachable. Like, as a coach, you got to be coachable.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. So, so tell us, we're in South Georgia, we're in the Southeast. Kentucky is still the Southeast, but I don't really cover it very much. Just tell us about Midway, like as a university, as a town, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So Midway it's a, you know, very old town. There's a lot of history there. The university is started as a orphanage back in the early 1800s, and then turned into an all school, and then transitioned. It was actually all female up until 2016. So they just recently went co-ed.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That would explain
and so
why
it's
they
a
didn't start a
yeah,
program until
yeah, so
2017.
yeah, so and it's a when they went co-ed in 2016, they had 8 sports teams on campus. Uh, it's 20, so 6 years later, they're at 28.
Wow.
It's a huge, it's basically a brand new athletic department, but it's beautiful campus. So you're just north of you get the rolling hills. It's in the middle of horse country, a lot of horse farms. Uh, but you're just right, you go 20, 30 minutes south, and you get to get some mountains and go hang out and do some kayaking and stuff like that. It's right outside of Lexington. Uh, and those were all big decision making processes for us as well, right?
Yeah.
Like we got up there, fell, and we were driving around, and me and my wife were looking and said, this is beautiful. Like
Yeah.
it's truly. They have a building on campus. It's dorms. It's an original building from the campus when it was founded in 1848. It's you look at the outside of it, and you're just like, you can see the history on the building. It's awesome.
That's cool.
Uh, yeah,
So you're surrounded by this history of the university, but the program's pretty new. I mean, you're
yeah,
going to only be the second coach,
yeah. It's
right?
it's so I think they just finished their 4th year as a program.
Yeah. So and you already mentioned that Jake is moving up into more of an administrative role and that sort of thing. So what are kind of the expectations that you have of coming in behind him, and what are you trying to, what are you trying to do? What's your goals?
Yeah. So, man, huge shoes to fill. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For people that don't know, Jake Brumblow is a catalyst for college wrestling in the Southeast. So he started the wrestling programs at Bruton Parker, Emmanuel, and now Midway. And that's kind of what he does, and he does it well. When I was with him at Emmanuel, we won 2 national titles, and so he's done the same thing at Midway. If you look through their seasons, each year they've gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
They finished in the Mid-South. They finished with a 7-6 record this past year, and I think 3 or 4 of those losses were all decided by one match in the duels with teams like Lindsey Wilson, University of Cumberland. So while the history isn't there because it's a new program, the ability and the competition is there. It's a very competitive program. Uh, there's 9 guys on the roster right now that have national tournament experience. There's a returning D2 All-American coming off a red shirt. So, right away, the goal and the expectation is to be successful.
So you froze up on me just a little bit as we were finishing this up. So finish that last sentence for me.
Yeah. Okay. So going into Bruton Parker this past year, the goal was 5 qualifiers, 3 on the podium. That was, what I really wanted. And it's like, I was just with Billy, the assistant from Midway, Coach Gordy. We were talking, and we are looking through this lineup and, potential lineups and stuff like that. And I really think coming into this first year, we're looking, I'd love to finish in the top 15, expand. They went 7-6. I'd really like to, keep the win and duel record going. And I think 5-3 is until I can do it. I think that's going to be my goal. 5 qualifiers and put 3 on the podium. That's kind of in my head. Like, I feel like those are reasonable. They're lofty because Mid-South is the Big Ten of the NAI.
Right.
It's deep. And so I know it's a lofty goal, and I'm just going to kind of carry that with me up there, I think, immediately. Long term, my goal is to, turn it into a consistent, competitive program.
Yeah.
At this point, competing with a Grandview or a Life, it's going to – obviously you want to beat those guys, but it takes time, right?
Right.
Omi, it took Omi 5 years.
Right.
Just be competitive with them long term. Get to where you're competitive, it's the same thing you tell a kid, right? Like, get to where you just need a takedown, and then those things become winnable. And so it's the same thing. Just I want to be a strong, competitive program in that deep wrestling conference, and just push out guys and put qualifiers and guys on podiums, and also push them on to be good people. That's end of the day. And that's one thing that's super cool. They had 18 kids on the honor roll this past year at Midway.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so, to build on that, get guys, not just successful at wrestling, but hey, let's get this degree. Let's go, and what do you want to do? Let's, get you in a job. Let's get you in a coaching position. So, big dreams, big goals for the program, but I know, step by step for sure.
Yeah. All right. So last thing is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
No, I do. I think, you hit all your bases in your 6 minutes, man.
Except it took 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah. No, but you got a lot of practice. You know how to ask the questions now, man. You're the pro.
I actually, if I'm really good, I just ask an open-ended question and let you guys talk. But sometimes I get in my own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand, and it helps when, you're a good dude. Like, enjoy and just even in passings at tournaments, we've always had great conversations. So I didn't expect anything less coming into this.
Yeah. And that's what this is. This is just a conversation between you and I. I mean, really, honestly, I'm just really interested in, why you chose, and I totally understand it. And now I've got to figure out, I'm, cause I'm in Georgia, I'm trying to figure out, Bruton Parker's next steps and those sorts of things. But I want to wish you, I want to wish you the best of luck,
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no. And I think, before I gave him some names, it doesn't mean that they're names that I gave him or who's going to get hired there, but I get, it was a year, but I busted my butt in a year, and I don't want to just hand that off to anyone and say, hey, like,
right.
Don't run this. Yeah. You don't want to see what you build run into the dirt. So I have full confidence at Bruton Parker. They'll, bring somebody in, and it'll be, the same standard. Those guys that are there, they'll understand. They kind of see what they got to do now. And so I expect Bruton Parker to still continue to do great things. They've got Devon still there. He was there. He's been there for this will be his 4th year at Bruton Parker now. And so, he has his fingers on both programs. So they're still in good hands. They'll be all right. And I am, dude. I can't wait to get up there. So I'm making the move August 15th. That week is when we're making the move up there.
All right.